Hey, sports fans, welcome on in. It's the Down and Dirty Scott Mitchell here. So glad you could join us. As always, please like and subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Of course, it's one of my favorite days of the week, and that's Monday. It's like I don't dread Mondays. I look forward to them because there's so much that happens throughout the weekend that we get to talk about, and we're going to do it today. Of course, this is one of the most exciting weeks of the year for me. The Masters, a tradition like none other, is happening this week, of course, at Augusta National, and it is just – oh my goodness, it's one of my favorite things in the world to watch, to view, to talk about. I can't get enough of the Masters. And joining us on the show right now is Paul Pugmire. Of course, he is the host of Utah Golf Radio, which you can hear on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM every Saturday morning from 8 to 10 a.m. And if you aren't local, never fear, because you just get the ESPN 700 app. And Paul's beautiful voice is echoed across the world every Saturday morning. Paul, welcome. How you doing?
Doing great, Scott. I love your take on Mondays, and there's 51 good Mondays to talk about stuff throughout the year, and then there's Masters Monday. That is the best Monday of the year. We're in Masters week, dude. What could be better?
So it's just dripping wet with tradition, right? There's so many great traditions at Augusta, and of all the great traditions, I was thinking, I'm trying to figure out, like, what is my absolute favorite tradition of all the traditions at the Masters? What is your favorite tradition that goes on with the Masters?
For those who are there, or for those who watch it on TV?
Either one.
Well, let's go with those who are there.
Okay.
The food is so good. and if you're lucky enough to be on site, there are so many really yummy things to eat that are so reasonably priced. But holy cow, the peach ice cream sandwich, die for.
So it's funny you mentioned, of all the traditions, that the food is such a great one, and it is. And it's they keep the price down. It's pretty basic. It's pretty generic, but it's pretty spectacular. Pimento cheese, right? That's a thing, and I'm very familiar with the South and that sandwich. I've had pimento cheese sandwiches before. I didn't realize how they made pimento cheese sandwiches, and actually, after learning how they make it, I think I like it better than because in my brain, I thought it was this pimento cheese, and it's not. It's actually a couple of blends of like cheddar cheese, and they put the pimentos in it. And had I known that, I think I would have enjoyed it much more. But pimento cheese sandwiches, that's a thing. And I've been going through this in my head, and I'm just like, there's the first tee, like the honorary, starters with all the greats that have done that throughout the years, and that's such a great tradition. The par 3 contest is a great tradition. You have just the champions dinner. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Even the etiquette, and I was watching this thing. It's like everyone has to walk to their when the gates open. You walk to your. And then you set your little chair down, and it's your chair. That's your spot. No one takes it. You've kind of staked out your claim of the Masters, and it's just there's a respect and a reverence for it. I just don't think you see an etiquette to the Masters, and like if you blow the etiquette, you're gone for good.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I didn't mean to take you too far away from the golf traditions.
Oh, no, because I was going to mention the food. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
And you're right. The pimento cheese sandwich is really great. It's not everybody's jam.
Yeah.
But by all means, if you're there, make sure you get one of the egg salad sandwiches.
Yeah.
Those are just superb. And when I've been, I don't even want to count the number of those that I've eaten. But so going to the golf part of the traditions, I think the greatest tradition that they have at Augusta National. Holy cow! Now that I say there are several poppers in my mind, but let me stay with what I was going to say, and that's that former champions are exempt for life.
Yeah.
Now there becomes a bit of a nuanced, squishy, unknown place where you get to where the former champion can no longer scrape it around, certainly not competitive. And holy cow, Bernhard Langer, who is still competitive on the Champions Tour, has pulled himself out. He will no longer play in the Masters. The course is simply too big for his game now. But former champions being exempt for life is something that started with Augusta, started with the Masters, and there are other places that do it now. But I think that is a really magnificent tradition. And it means that we get to see really great players come back to the course and the event where they either established or augmented their greatness. And we know that they always will be there. And you mentioned the Champions Dinner. Because of that, we know that they always will be on site, whether they're playing or not. And so you add those two together. And it is the way in which this tournament, this club, respects and honors and carries forward the legacy of former champions. And I think that's a pretty darn cool thing.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you think of that Champions Dinner and just the exclusive nature of it. Like, you're not invited in unless, and you've won, and I can only imagine. Would love to be a fly on the wall in the conversations and how things go on there. You mentioned Bernhard and being competitive. I gotta believe that there's there's this balance between, oh, it's such an honor to be able to play this course and to play it during the Masters, and I know I don't have a shot to win it, but who cares? I'm gonna play. And then there comes a point where you go, out of respect for the tradition of the Masters, it's time to bow out. And I would imagine that there's, maybe a guy plays a few years too more than he should, or maybe plays a few too less than he could have. But it'd be an interesting, I guess, dilemma or decision you'd have to kind of figure out and work through.
Yeah. And like I say, it's nuanced, it's squishy, and every situation is different. Mr. Langer made his call when it was best for him to step aside, and yet he had a top 10 just last week on the Champions Tour. It's not like the guy's lost his game. He hasn't. But Augusta is playing so long now. He has said that he is just hitting clubs into the greens that are too long, which means the ball is coming in too flat with a descent angle, not enough spin, in order to execute shots that those greens demand.
Yeah.
And so he just can't play the course from the tournament tees.
So you mentioned the length of the course. What changes? Is there any significant changes to the course and the layout that have actually that we need to be aware of, or that are a little different than in past years?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, just to give it some context, Augusta now measures almost 7,600 yards.
Oh, wow.
It's a ton. And keep in mind, it's nearly at sea level. The PGA Tour is a sea level thing. So that's one thing to keep in mind, especially with a Utah-based show like this. The biggest change has come on hole number 5. Augusta National, the golf club, bought Beckham Avenue from the city in order to I know, right? When you're Augusta, you get to do things like that. And in order to move the tee back 70 yards. And so number 5 is this par 4 that is so big now and so hard. Slight dogleg left, the fairway sloping from the right to the left, and it requires a shot into the green that is spinning and descending, which means the drive has to be big. It will only be big. Now, 5 is a hole that is so hard at this point that a great many players play it to guard against a double bogey rather than trying to attack the hole. In 2019, when Tiger Woods won the Masters, he made bogey on number 5. That is to say, he made a bogey 5 on number 5 all 4 days of the tournament. And he planned for that. And he was okay with that. What he was doing was making sure there was no double bogey. And quick aside, double bogeys are what'll kill you.
Yeah.
There's only been 2 winners in the last 20 years that have had a double bogey on the card over the 72 holes.
Wow.
And so Tiger knew that going in. Tiger is absolutely one of the greatest course managers and game strategizers in the history of the game. And you look at the players who are the greatest course managers and the greatest strategizers, and the top 3 of the list are Tiger Woods, Ben Hogan, and Jack Nicklaus. Well, who are those guys? They are among the top players anyway. But playing number 5 to guard against double and make sure that you get out of there with no worse than 5 and then move on to the next hole. That's something that simply has to be done. Number 5 is the best example of how they've lengthened out the course. There are a couple of holes where there simply is no space to expand them. And the best part of that discussion is number 13, which we're all very familiar with for all the right and glorious reasons. 13 is a magnificent golf hole. And Chairman Fred Ridley of Augusta National Golf Club, who is himself a great player, he is a former U.S. amateur champion. But Chairman Ridley talks about a momentous decision, his term, that he wants the second shot on 13 to require a momentous decision. Do I go for the green, a long shot over water with the ball above my feet for a right-handed player, below my feet for a left-handed player? Do I want to lay up or go for it? And both have proved to be successful for different players, but it is a momentous decision. And so keeping that, they have moved the tee back on 13, but there's just so much space in that part of the property. But I've kind of rambled on here to a pretty simple question. Where
no, it's interesting because like the course in its original form was so traditional, and then technology and skill kind of outpaced it to a point, and then they go, this is the Masters. We need to make sure that we're going to make this thing very, very competitive in the world that it is today, and it maintains that tradition. But ultimately, it's like, what do you do? I mean, if you are landlocked in there, I guess you make the greens brutally, who knows, or the rough thicker. But again, it's the Masters. There's just a certain way that the course and the condition. Speaking of conditions, what are the conditions supposed to be like? Is it what? Is it wet? Is it dry? Is it fast? Is it slow?
Looks like it'll be playing fast this year, which is fun for the golf. If the ball is not sitting down, if the ball is scooting when it hits the ground, Augusta becomes exponentially more difficult. And so that's what the overall weather pattern looks like it will be this year, and could be for a pretty dynamic chase as people are coming down the stretch if the ball is scooting when it hits the ground.
So why do you think, because no one's won the par 3 contest and won the Masters, what is it? Does that just mean the percentages are it's likely to happen now because it just hasn't happened, or is there something about it like that I don't know, gets in their head, or just is there some dynamic there that causes the player, whoever wins it, not? I mean, because it almost seems like you just try to lose if that's the case. If you're like Tiger and you're like, look, I'm leaving no stone unturned. I'm going to make sure I don't win that par 3 thing.
Yeah, what's interesting in that regard is that there have been a couple of players simply pick up and not finish the par 3, where they're really smoking it, and they play 8 holes really well. They'll just skip the 9th hole and no card, and because in any and every sport there's superstition, right? And you don't want to tempt the fate of something that's never been done. The par 3 and the Masters are 2 different events. The par 3 is very light, very collegial. It is family oriented. You see the players out there with their families and little kids in those cute little caddy uniforms, and it is a wedge game. and that people are simply throwing wedges into all those holes. And it's a great time. It's a really nice thing, but it is a different test than the big tournament. And in two major ways, the shortness of the holes, no drivers, no long irons into greens, things like that.
Yeah.
And then also it's 9 holes.
Right.
The Masters is 72, as it should be. And they're very different tests.
The only thing that the image that I conjure in my head of the par 3, and it's one I can't, even as I've talked about it today on this show, is Tony Finau jumping up in the air and dislocating his ankle.
Ugh.
Like that to me is the par 3 for some reason. It's just so cringy to see that happen. Then he just kind of pops his foot back in and keeps going.
Yeah, that is one of the most gruesome pieces of video you'll ever see in sports. It's on the order. Remember when Joe Theismann broke his leg?
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
And
really is.
And so I do think what Tony did that week, coming back from having dislocated his ankle and playing himself into a top 10 in the Masters that week, I think that is one of the greatest sports comebacks in the history of all sports.
Yeah.
Now, I personally think that Kerry Scruggs winning the gold on a broken leg is the top of that list, but there are some really incredible comebacks that are on the list. And I think Tony's on the list. It was gruesome to watch, though, and it makes total sense to me that would be yours or anybody's memory with the par 3.
We like the blood and gore. That's what we love about our sports. So, is there a strategy? So it's like, don't win the par 3, and like Tony, he's one of those guys that has been close, and a lot of people feel like he's a golfer that he's that kind of getting that label, the best golfer not to win a major kind of label, and how what do you think is the best way to prepare for the Masters? You have guys, do they play the week before? They not play the week before? Because I think there have been some guys who played the week before and won and still won the Masters. I don't think that's, but so what do you think is the best strategy for a player to just, be in top form going into the Masters? We're trying to help Tony out here. Let's give him some strategy.
well, Tony played last week, and
right.
Tony has had a pattern this year that held this last week in San Antonio for him. His pattern this year has been that when he has a good tournament, he'll play really well for 2 or 3 days and then have a day, normally on the weekend, which is significant, I'll come back to it, where he gives it back. And that's exactly what he did this last week in San Antonio. He had a very poor Sunday, and he was within shouting distance of being in the mix. He was like 15th going into Sunday morning and shot 78 and just totally fell off a cliff. I have a concern about Tony that he is not talking about. And I want to be very clear about that. This is not coming from him. This is my personal observation. Sure. But I was able to spend some time with Tony at a BYU event at Riverside Country Club in Provo a couple months ago. And Tony was recovering from foot surgery, and he said everything was great. Everything was on schedule. But Scott, he was noticeably limping. And he was cheerful. He was in a good mood. But you still could see that he was favoring his leg. You still could see that it wasn't right. And there's very few people in this world who understand as well as you how important it is to have your feet and your legs right if you're going to perform athletically at an elite level. I mean, if those are wrong, you're done. And until Tony shows that he is healed from the surgery, which means 4 days, which is normally an endurance test and will especially be so at Augusta. It is the hardest walk on the tour.
Yeah.
He hasn't yet shown that he's fully recovered from the surgery, Scott. And I think that's what's showing up, especially because he gets to the weekend when he's playing well in a tournament. And I think the fatigue sets in on the surgically repaired parts of his body. And that's what it looks like to me. Now, again, this is me speculating. Tony has not said this, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And you're right. I mean, that the undulation of Augusta is just it's massively dramatic. That's I guess I'm overstating it a little bit, but
Actually, you're not.
And it never shows on television, like how insanely undulating that course is.
That's not. You've been there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What was it like when you come in the gate, you go down the walkway, and you enter the course kind of mid hole on number 1 on the fairway.
Right.
When you first see the golf course, let me ask you, what's your first impression? What goes through your mind?
I mean, so well, it's trees for one, and it's hills. You know, I think the thing that really got me, and has always got, was just man, this looks so different than on television. Like, it's just so up and down, and it's
exactly
like it's insane.
Exactly.
And I've been, I lived in that part of the country and been around a lot of it. So I don't know why I should expect it not to be like that, because I've seen other places like it, but it's dramatic. There's nothing about Augusta that's not dramatic. That's not
that's so true.
It's a statement at every turn, and it's truly remarkable. Speaking of injuries, Tiger, it looked like he might have been competing this year, and I think people are excited about that. He's not. What's the impact of Tiger, and even Phil Mickelson, of course, has some health issues or whatever, but he's not going to be at the Masters. And these guys have been such iconic players for so many years at the Masters, even when they're not. They're still part of the story. They're just dynamic individuals that have such an impact, and golf fans just love and appreciate them. And both of them not being here, what's that impact?
Yeah, you are correct to identify this as a question. I saw an interview yesterday with Rory McIlroy. He was at the drive, chip, and putt finals with the kids, which was great. And they were asking him about going to the Champions Dinner. And Rory was talking about how much he was looking forward to being in that room. And of course he is. It's the most exclusive dinner club in the world. Entry to that dinner is so hard. Rory finally made it. And then he was talking about how much it meant to him to be in that dinner. And then immediately he transitioned to, 2 of our friends won't be there.
Yeah.
And I'm sad about that. Well, of course. And look, neither Tiger nor Phil is competitive at this point.
Yep.
But they remain iconic legends of the game. And Tiger especially is emerging as an absolute leader in the game. And I think he will continue to. But his colleagues, his peers, Phil's peers, are saying, we miss them already.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you'll see the biggest impact, is them simply not being on property.
See, for me with Tiger, I just always think that he's going to come back. He's still got one more win in him. Like, it's just because he's just so dramatic, and he just, like, if anyone could ever do it, it feels like Tiger could. And I because I'm relatively close in age with both of these guys, and so I'm moving through my life with these legends, and I guess for my sake, I'm hoping that, as you said, well, they're past competitive, and I'm like, and I know that, but I just don't want to admit it. So I just always, I don't know.
None of us want to admit it.
Yeah.
Look, I say to people all the time, Tiger isn't done until Tiger says he's done. And the landscape is strewn with the dead and rotting carcasses of people who have bet against Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Right.
But right now, there is no indication at all that his body will allow him to be competitive again in a tournament that requires 72 holes of walking. Now, on the Champions Tour, where they play 54-hole events, not all of them, but many.
Yeah.
And Many of these events allow the players to ride in carts. That's a different formula. It is completely plausible that Tiger would be competitive on the Champions Tour. Plus, we all know that he really wants to win the U.S. Senior Open. He would, if he won that, become the first and only player ever to win the U.S. Junior, the U.S. Am, the U.S. Open, and then the U.S. Senior. And so I'm really cheering for him to do that.
Yeah.
But I do think at this point, especially knowing that all of us, all of our families have been hit by addiction. We all know somebody who has been harmed by addiction, somebody we love. I do think at this point we need to absolutely be focused on Tiger's well-being as a person. His body has been just absolutely racked. So many surgeries, so many injuries. It kind of tracks. Unfortunately, all indications are that there's a painkiller addiction.
Right.
And it breaks my heart. And at this point, I simply want Tiger's well-being for him and his family.
Yeah, no question about it. As we're talking about, and addiction is it's no respecter of persons. It just doesn't matter how many championships you've won or whatever. It's something that we as humans in the human condition we face. I'm thinking, because there'll come a day when Tiger and Phil will be the honorary. What are they called? The honorary
starters.
Starters.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to envision in my head what that would look like. And
they're going to be trying to get it past each other.
Yeah, it just exactly. And would there even be anyone else at that point? It's like, because it's just it's like who could you fit in the? Is there a trio of those guys, or is it just two guys out there playing? All right. Last thing, who's going to win? Okay, who's supposed to win, and who do you think is going to win the Masters this year?
Great question. Let's look at a couple of things that have held true over the years. In nearly every case, there's a couple of exceptions, but in nearly every case, the Masters champion is drawn from a group of people who, number one, are in the top 20 in the world going into the Masters. And number two, are in good form, are playing well recently.
Yeah.
And this just tracks year after year after year. And the reason for that is that the Masters Augusta National, combined with the pressure of the Masters tournament, but Augusta National will expose a weakness in the game, in your game, a hole in your game. I love the way the pitcher-batter competition in baseball ultimately ends up about the pitcher trying to find a hole in the batter's coverage of the strike zone, and then the batter trying to either find a ball in their hitting area or cover the hole. The conflict between the player and Augusta National is analogous to that. Augusta will find that hole. It will. And so it takes a player who has established himself in the top 20 and who is in form right now. And so in the top 20, obviously, Scottie Scheffler's at the top of this list, right? And he has won this thing twice. He has shown that he knows what to do to get around this course for 4 days better than anybody else. But he's not in top form right now. He hasn't been playing really great lately. Scottie might find a way to get his third Masters, and it wouldn't shock me. But right now, he's coming into it not in top form. And so who among the top 20 is coming in top form? That's where you'll find your potential winners of this tournament.
So do you think because some years it's like a name we recognize, and other years it's not. It's someone new. It's it may be an international player. Do you feel, which year do you feel like it is? Is it a known name? Is it Rory? Is it or is it someone we're maybe not on the radar that we should know about?
What's interesting about that is there's a couple of winners who would meet your criteria of being somebody who's not a household name.
Yeah.
And yet they were top 20 players in the world at the time.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Trevor Immelman caught
Yeah.
people by surprise, but he was ranked in the top 20 when he won it. Same thing, Danny Willett. He was in the top 20 in the world when Jordan Spieth imploded and gave it to him.
Yeah.
But Willett was standing there, and Willett played really well on Sunday that year he won it. But he was ranked like 17th or 16th in the world when he won the Masters. And so it holds. It absolutely holds true. In that category, I think you should be looking at Jacob Bridgman.
Oh.
He is in the top 20 in the world right now, but he also has been playing really well this year. He's and so he is a guy coming in form. Another one who meets that criteria is Chris Gotterup, who is a big, high-speed player, which is what you need at Augusta. And I say that, and yet we all know Zach Johnson won, and he wasn't a high-speed player, still isn't.
Right.
But Chris Gotterup is one of these players who can absolutely sneak into a Masters win, but it wouldn't be really sneaking because he's a top 20 player in the world who's been playing well lately. But there's also there's a couple of names also that I think we should be looking at. Tommy Fleetwood and Cameron Young. Now, these are Ryder Cup players. These are names we know. Both of them have been playing well lately. They should be in the mix. And then from there, it's going to be it's hard not to like Matthew Fitzpatrick. He's won lately. He's in form. He's a former major champion. Again, a top 20 player. These are the kinds of players you should be looking at.
I think it's going to be Tommy Fleetwood. I don't know why.
That would be so cool.
I got that vibe.
Yeah. Other than 3 days every 2 years, how do you not love Tommy Fleetwood? And so it would be really cool if you were to pull this off.
Yeah. All right, Paul, go get a pimento cheese sandwich. Enjoy the Masters. Really, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great day.
Thank you, Scott.
All right, there you have it. Paul Pugmire, of course, Utah Golf Radio. Check him out, ESPN 791 FM, every Saturday, 8 to 10. And, of course, if you don't get it on the radio because you're not in Salt Lake, go get the ESPN 700 app, and there you have it. All right. Well, we got some NFL news of notes around the corner. We got some fun stuff to talk about. So stay tuned. The Down and Dirty is going to return shortly.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell here. It's Monday. It's the day of reckoning of all our weekend sports, all the things that were amazing. We're going to check them out as we go. Of course, it is Masters Week, and it is a tradition unlike anything else. Great conversation with Paul Pugmire from Utah Golf Radio about the Masters. He's fun to talk to about golf because he's just a golf dude, and so am I. I'm a golf dude. Okay, let's move on here on the program. Of course, it's the NFL News of Notes, where we talk about all things NFL, and we talk about the most noteworthy things in the NFL simply because, well, the NFL is 365, 24/7. So we cover it every day, every way. There's always something to chat about. Let's give them something to talk about, is what I say. I think I heard that from a song once. Speaking of, let's give them something to talk about. The Trayvon Walker, of course, he was in first pick of the NFL draft with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's had a pretty steady career. Liam Cohen, his coach, has said, "Look, I think you can be more. You need to be Aaron Donald. That's who you need to be." And of course, Trayvon is like talking about how he was able to watch Aaron and just how he practiced and how he prepared week in and week out, and kind of the player that he was. And I found that to be kind of an interesting concept, and it kind of conjured in my mind this whole thought process of, why are we always trying to be somebody else, right? And because Trayvon goes, well, I want to be like Aaron Donald. Well, no kidding, who doesn't? I mean, he's one of the best players ever to play in the NFL. But who did Aaron Donald say he wanted to be? Like Aaron Donald, you go, well, I want to be. I don't think he did. And I think that's kind of my point I'm trying to make here. When I was when I went to the University of Utah out of high school and committed to play football there, my coach was a guy named Jim Fossil. May he rest in peace. And Jim Fossil, of course, you remember, later on became the head coach of the New York Giants, and a team that was kind of struggling. He said, "We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to go to the Super Bowl." And a very bold statement in a very bold city, and he delivered, which was really cool. But Jim, great guy, great coach. And when I got to Utah, it was like his second year there. His young guy's 35 years old. And he said that, he had coached John Elway at Stanford. And John Elway was a prized recruit at Stanford, and this really good player. And so everyone was like trying to compare me with John Elway simply because we had the same coach. And our games were not similar. There were some similar, circumstances in our lives as far as being highly sought after recruits and all that stuff, but very different players. And people would say, well, how does it feel to be compared to like John Elway? And I think it was like in a complimentary way that people were saying this, because he was a very good player at the time. He was with the Broncos and in the early parts of his career. And I hated it. I didn't want to be compared to John Elway. I didn't want to be John Elway. I didn't want to be like John Elway. I wanted to be me. I wanted to be the first me. And so I always felt like, who knows, maybe I would have been in the Hall of Fame if I would have tried to be like John Elway. I don't know, but I just think there's this sense of, and I'm not dissing Trayvon Walker, because I get what he's saying as far as wanting to get to that next level, wanting to be that great player. But it has to be him. It has to be authentic. It has to be, he's got to want to get up in the morning and stay late and do those things that no one else wants to do, whether it's it creates the physical attributes that are special and unique. It gives you strength. It gives you an edge. Your technique's better, whatever it is. Or if it's a mindset where it's just like, no one's going to outwork me. No one's gone through the sacrifice, the commitment that I have, and therefore I will win. I will dominate. I am better. But that has to come internally. You hear these legendary stories of people like Jerry Rice and how he trained and how he practiced. And it wasn't like Bill Walsh said, I need you to practice like this, Jerry. I need you to go out there and you just run to the end zone every play. And everyone that I've ever spoke to, that coaches, players, they said you wouldn't believe how Jerry Rice practices. It's just at a whole different level. And there were players that went there and were with Jerry Rice and wide receivers and they're all like, I practice my thing, I do what I do, and Jerry does what Jerry does. And so they weren't trying to be Jerry Rice, and really no one was. And Walter Payton, similar type of workout, and we all have our special thing that we do and did. And I know I certainly did. And but it's this this thing that's like it's driven within you, and it's not driven from outside of you. Now, I think I remember Donovan Mitchell, who was drafted by the Utah Jazz, and really came on as a rookie, and it was fun to watch the development of Donovan Mitchell at Utah. And Shaq kind of chided him like on live television in a very awkward exchange. He said, "Man, I don't think you're tough enough. I don't think you're good enough. I don't think you have that killer instinct." And it was like, "Whoo, wow, okay." And he really came at Donovan Mitchell and whatever, and it was kind of surprising. But my thought was, Donovan Mitchell needs to go like spend an off season with Kobe. Just go and just hang out with him and just, buy into or find out or see what the secret sauce is, type of thing. And this is, of course, before Kobe had passed away. And I wished he would have done it because of that. But just even if it hadn't happened, I think it would have been a tremendous thing. And Donovan's become a phenomenal player. Hadn't had the success in the playoffs, but he's become one of the top players in the NBA. But the point is I just am a firm believer that this desire for greatness, really it's great to look to these people, but it's really what's within you. And if your desire is to be great and you're looking at these other outside sources and that's what helps you be great, that's great. But I never, like, I can name the players, I like Dan Marino wasn't trying to be Johnny Unitas. He wasn't trying to be Roger Staubach. He wasn't trying to be, he was like, I'm freaking Dan Marino. Like I'm the original. And he was. And a guy like Barry Sanders, these guys were not. Barry Sanders was maybe he had, I don't know. I mean, Thurman Thomas was an upperclassman to Barry Sanders at Oklahoma State, and Barry probably just said, "Yeah, you're really good, Thurman, but I got a little shake and bake in me that you don't have, bro." I don't know. I really don't, and I do, and that's why I'm saying this is, I don't think those guys said, "Yeah, I'm looking to be someone else." I can go Ray Lewis, Jonathan Ogden. I mean, Herman, who we have on the show, they weren't looking to be someone else. Yeah, you have your idols, your heroes, and that stuff growing up, but man, when it's you, it's like it's on me for greatness. And I just, I like this. I appreciate it, but it's almost like your coach goes, "Man, I need you to be better, and I need you to be like this guy." And it's like, because I had a coach who did this to me when I was in Detroit, and we were Bobby Ross. We'd ended his first year. We made the playoffs, and I'd had a pretty good year. And I went into his office. He wanted to meet with me, and he sat down, and he pulled up this statistical chart, and he said, "I need you to be like Brett Favre." And he started listing out all of these things that Brett Favre was doing. And I'm just like, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I said, but here's where I disagree with you. And that is that Brett Favre is the offense. Like the offense runs through Brett Favre. They've put the ball in Brett Favre's hands. And that's not the case here. You put the ball in Barry Sanders' hands, it's a different story. It's not apples to apples. And I go, if you really want me to be your guy, then let me be your guy and put me in the same category, the same position, the same opportunity, and I'll give you the results. I've done it. I've already proven this. It's not even a question. And it wasn't the answer he was looking for. He was like, "You're gonna do it this," and it's like I don't even meet with the offensive coordinator. I haven't spent 5 minutes with him in a year. Like, how am I supposed to get on the same page with someone who's like this glorified enigmatic person that I don't ever get a chance to even talk to? So it's nice that they want you to be a certain way, but then they won't let you. Okay. Um, that's going to lead me to my next question here. And I got asked this question from Martin because we were kind of talking about this subject, and he's like, "What's the worst quarterback room that you were a part of in the NFL?" It's like, ooh, that's a good one. So I'm just going to kind of start from my rookie year. Um, and it just here's the behind the curtains, right? This is way behind the curtains. So my rookie year, I'm with the Miami Dolphins, and and of course I get drafted, and Marino is the guy, and there's not even any question about that. And Marino's take on other quarterbacks, coaches, and really anyone, he's like, unless you've thrown the football for 9 years in the NFL, don't even tell me how to throw a football, right? I got all the answers. And I can't say that I could argue with that. You know, I do know that Joe Montana, who had just won a Super Bowl and had a rookie quarterback coach come in who'd never coached in the NFL, and he said to Mike Holmgren when they first met, he goes, "I want to be coached hard." So two differing, mindsets, and it's hard to argue with either one. And I think what it is it's conviction, whatever it is. It's like I'm good, Marino, and Joe Montana goes, "Man, I need more," and I don't think I don't think either's wrong. So I go in as a rookie. I don't even know what a quarterback room is. I just hope I'm in the room, let alone, is it a good room? Is it a bad room? And I would just tell you, it was just an education. It was just every single day for me. I felt like I was drinking through a fire hose and loving every minute of it. Of course, Coach Shula was in our meeting with us. And then our offensive coordinator, Gary Stevens. And then we had another quarterback, Scott Seekels, who played at Virginia and was there as well. And so it was, part of it is it's kind of there's an age difference, when one quarterback's, Marino's I think 8 years older than I was, and I was young, I didn't know anything, and so it's tolerated. You're in the room, you're just hanging out, it's just like, yeah, you just tolerate you, and that's fine. And there's this kind of hazing that goes on with rookies, and it's done by position group. And Marino goes, "Look, I'm not going to do any of that stuff. I'm not going to." I don't care about that. All I want is I want donuts on Thursday. That's all I want. Just get me. I love double chocolate donuts from Dunkin' Donuts. And if you get me a few donuts on Thursday, we're good. So that was my job. He didn't have me carry his shoulder pads. He did none of that. And he was actually really cool about all that stuff. And so that's kind of how it was, as a rookie. And then as you kind of grow. So for me, it wasn't like, it was just basically, this is Dan's team and that's it, and you're just happy to be here. And that's what it felt like. It wasn't, but it was good from man, I learned a lot type of perspective. And it wasn't a bad vibe. It wasn't like, oh, it just, I was young, I was impressionable, and I was just loving every stinking minute of being in that meeting. And that was pretty much the dynamic. Now, at the end, when I started playing, Marino was just awesome. He's like, give me all these pointers, and then I started playing really good. And then he stopped talking, which was kind of funny and fun, but it's all good. So great experience in the quarterback room with the Miami Dolphins. Now in Detroit, very interesting because every year I was in Detroit, I had a different backup quarterback, and they were all veteran guys. So it was David Craig my first year, and then it was Don Mikowski my second year, and Frank Reich the third year, or the third quarterback, and he was there for 2 years. And I think Don was there for 2 as well. Anyways, all great guys, and being a quarterback just has a certain way, a presence about you, a confidence, and all these guys carried that well, and all of them very accomplished in their careers, in their sphere of when they had opportunities. Of course, Don was the magic man. Frank was, perennial, probably the best backup quarterback ever in NFL history, and was a starter periodically, and of course went on to coach, and then of course David Craig really had quite a prolific career, long career. So these guys were just they were pros, and I think that was the thing that they handled circumstance, because here's the thing about every quarterback room is you always feel like you're the guy. And it was interesting that each one of them, when they came to Detroit, because you could tell they have like a preconceived notion of you as a player. And all of them said to me at some point or another, they're like, wow, you're extremely accurate, and a much more accurate thrower than I thought you were. And so the perception from the outside is, whatever. And then when they kind of lift up the hood and they have a closer inspection and they're around it from a day-to-day process, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, I can see this. And there were a lot, quarterbacks have their throws, right? You have a throw that, man, you just feel it. You feel reading the route, you feel, where to throw the football. And we had this route in Detroit, and it was a little tricky because it could get dicey about the decision, and it was about the corner. And you ran an out route, and it was usually down in the red zone. We ran this play, and the out route was shorter. Like normally an out route goes from 10 to 12 yards, kind of a speed out. And this one we went 8 to 10, so we shortened it a little bit. And it can throw the timing because it's a quick 5, boom, you let it go. But we did it shorter because we wanted a quicker reaction from the corner, so that we could get a read, because behind it we ran a corner route. So you had a corner route over the top of the corner, and you had an out route. And so if that corner jumped the out, you hit the corner. And we always felt like our inside receiver, which was usually Brett Perriman, could beat the safety. Anyways, it's a hard route to get us, and I just had a feel for it. And I can't tell you how many touchdown passes I threw to Brett Perriman on that corner route, and it's just always there. And Brett was so good at run. He's probably the best corner route running receiver I ever played with. And so that was that route. And Don Mikowski just says, man, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you throw that. I don't get it. So interesting dynamics in, I'll tell you the worst one, as I think about it, the worst one I had was in Baltimore. Hands down. Yeah. It was really weird. It was me. It was Tony Banks and Stoney Case. And it was just not good. Actually, I'm not even going to get into why. Maybe some other time, Martin, make a note of this. Some other time I'll get into why that was the worst quarterback room. I'll just say it was. How's that? There you have it. All right, we're going to take another break. Bill Belichick is getting sued. Talk about that. And, oh, man, this show is just flying by today. This is good. I like this. So Bill Belichick getting sued on the Down and Dirty when we return.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us in our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's kitbag.com. Kitbag.
Farmhound's approach is a little different than a traditional treat company. We get to work with local farmers who are putting everything they can into regenerative farming. From the soil to the animals to the ecosystem. They care about how animals are raised and how we treat the earth. It's not just product, but it's part of that story. It's connected to just a whole lot more.
Hey folks, welcome back. Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell. Yes, it's us. Down and dirty, getting down and dirty on a Monday, which is the way we like it. So we're going to keep it rolling here. Bill Belichick was sued. Now, shocker, right? But it is a shocker, and I think it's something that's really interesting with high-profile people. Of course, he had a worker at his house painting, and apparently the work conditions were suspect. And they weren't good at all. And so or they were, who knows? I'm going to say they probably were good. And this individual was injured. And of course, he probably, I don't know, he probably spilled paint on his fingernails. And of course the lawsuits are, pain and suffering and mental anguish and, ankle sprains. And I'm like, ankle sprains? Bill Belichick has most of his players playing on Sunday with ankle sprains. What are you talking about? And that's probably what he said. He says, buddy, he's like, suck it up and put the paint on the walls. I don't want to hear about the ankle sprain. You don't make the club in the tub. Get it done. But what this conjures up to me always, and of course it's a headline in the world, and simply because so often athletes are just a target. And now, coaches, whomever, you have money and people come after you. And it's just, it's one of the hardest things I think you have to navigate. And you have to, when I left for the NFL and I was being drafted, one of the boosters from the University of Utah took me to dinner, which he could at this point because I'm no longer a student. And we went to this really nice restaurant, and he said, would you like some advice? I said, sure. He says, tell everybody no. Just tell everyone no, because you're going to get hit up from every imaginable angle you could dream up. And people are going to just tell you, man, I got a deal for you, or can I borrow this, or can I just tell everyone no. Just don't even entertain it. And he was so right. And of course, he owned this huge grocery chain, very wealthy individual. And it was the best advice. And it was the best advice because sometimes I said no, and other times I didn't heed the advice and I said yes. And then it was no. It was really bad. So you're always this target, and it's so frustrating because it's just hard to have like friendships and relationships with people because everybody wants it. But the hardest part always about all of this is your family. Like it's just family was the worst. What hands down, absolute worst. And it's, if I was to give anyone advice today, it's like, if your family wants something and you want to give it to them as a gift. Because if you give it to them as like a loan or I'm going to pay you back kind of thing, that's not happening. That's not happening. And they're just like, you don't understand my life. You have all the money in the world. And and woe is me, and you can afford this, and you're not going to miss this, and whatever. And so it really can create massively bad blood. It just does. So you either be a miser and just say no, or you just be benevolent and just give it to them. And that's really a personal choice. And it's unfortunate. I had an individual working on a house that I owned, and I'd built a garage, an outbuilding garage. And for whatever reason, he was at the house trying to put in the flashing on the peak of the roof of this garage. The garage was actually a garage that had an apartment on it, but on the lower level, it actually had a garage under the garage. So it was essentially a 3-story house that this guy was working on this ladder, and the flashing kind of fell back, and there was a power pole back on the back edge of my property, and it electrocuted him. He fell 30 feet from the air and landed in the mud on the ground, which apparently started his heart again. Who knows? So he didn't sue anyone. He was actually negligent in the whole situation, but I feel for Bill Belichick, and it's just like, you just kind of roll your eyes and you got to deal with that kind of stuff, but it does happen. And usually wealthy people have precautions in place to help them in the event they get sued. So quit suing your old ball coach. Leave him alone. Quit begging for money. All right. Around the corner, hot headlines. Well, we got some hot ones. There are some hot ones. This is some very, very disappointing news in the world of women's gymnastics. I know it's something we talk about on the show a lot, but it's significant. This is a hot one. All right, the Down and Dirty will be back in just a minute.
You probably get unwanted emails almost every single day.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
Have you ever wondered why so many pet parents are choosing to have virtual vet appointments? Online veterinary care is making it easier than ever to get expert advice for your pet. Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns and expand access to pet care. Book your first appointment today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. Down and Dirty, Scott Mitchell. Monday, it's a fun day. Every day's a fun day. It's always fun on Mondays because I love to talk about everything that happened over the week. I miss you. I miss everyone, and the weekends are long. They're fun. I hope you all had a very lovely Easter. Of course, we have hot headlines happening right now because some hot things happened over the weekend, and I brought in old Martin. He's got his what is it, the Blackhawks? Is that the logo on your? Yeah. So he's wearing the Blackhawks today. Hey, our Mammoth are making a move, dude. They've 3 impressive wins here. Of course, the NHL is on its way to its conclusion, and this could be a mammoth moment in hockey for the state of Utah, getting a team into the playoffs. Do they have it in them, Martin? I mean, because I looked at the schedule, they got some very, very winnable games, or at least games they can get some points on, right?
Yeah, they have some winnable games up on the schedule coming up here. They got 5 games left, which is not a lot. And yeah, right now it's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good to get into the playoffs. Edmonton would be their first round matchup. That would be a very fantastic, fun
Yeah.
matchup to see whether they could beat Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid in the playoffs. Obviously,
yeah.
back-to-back Stanley Cup champion runner-ups. Wouldn't that be a story, right? The Mammoth pull off an upset up over the Stanley Cup champion runner-ups. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. So that just means closer and closer to you and I going to the Delta Center to watch a playoff game, man. It's just getting closer.
That's what you're hoping for.
I am. Exactly. I'm hoping for that, man.
Now-
I mean, come on.
Now that's exciting.
It is.
And then the other exciting thing in the state of Utah for our teams we cheer for is the Utah Jazz have very convincingly lost. And of course they have, I think they have 4 games left, 4 games left.
About
And
that.
yeah, I think it's 4. But the problem is they're against teams that kind of stink. Most of the Lakers, I think, are the only one, but the Lakers, kind of are injury plagued right now. I think 3 of the 4 are on the road. But I think it's there's one game that will be a tough one for the Jazz to lose. Like so we have to think of the inverse, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we want them to lose. And this draft is looking pretty thick and pretty. So the Jazz, even if they screw up the lottery pick, which I think the league rigs it. I think the Jazz ping pong balls, they've been chemically altered, and they're probably they probably give them big balls, right? The Jazz have big balls and they don't fit up through the thing. So when it sucks them in, it's like it doesn't happen. It's like we'll give you big balls, and that way you cannot make it into this deal. All right, that's my conspiracy theory. Hey, speaking of conspiracy theories, before we get into these headlines, I want to ask you one question. So Artemis 2, I think it's at the moon, right? We're passing by the moon today, I believe. I don't know exactly when. And so this is the closest they'll be at the moon, and they'll get to see things they've never seen before, unless it didn't happen. So is this a real thing, or is this a fake hoax? What is your take, Martin?
It's 100%. It's 100% real. I am one of the many believers that a space shuttle launched from Earth into space and released a small capsule that has many humans in it at the very moment that are orbiting around the planet of the moon. I've talked to plenty of flat earther type people, or people who don't believe in anything that NASA has done in its history. Yeah, it's orbiting around the moon as we speak, and we'll be back in our solar system. Well, not our solar system, but in our orbit, I think in 2 or 3 days. I think it was something like that. So yeah, I believe it. I 100% believe it. If I could, I think at the moment, Scott, it'd be impossible, but to fit a 6'8", 340-pound human like me into one of those things, I think would take another, 100 years. But if the day ever comes that I could be launched from Earth into the space to see planets, I would 100% sign up to do it.
No, they made a spaceship for you.
Oh, did they?
Oh, yes, they did. Did you ever watch Wayne's World?
Oh, you're right.
Or no, not Wayne's World, but Austin Powers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Dr. Evil, when he had his what was it, the Pillsbury Doughboy or some that's now you could fit in that. And
I could fit in that, and one of my favorite Disney movies obviously is WALL-E. Obviously, I could fit into the space shuttle that launched into orbit as well. So, the future is right around the corner. So,
have you ever seen Up?
Yes, of course. Yeah, I love
Russell?
it. Yeah,
Russell?
with Russell. Yep, with the old man. Yep.
Anyone ever say that you kind of look like Russell?
You know what? You're the first person to say I look like Russell. Unfortunately, I
Yeah.
got a beard, so I mean, if I shave it, I
Oh,
could look like the babyface Russell. But
but that, yeah,
at the moment,
you're Russell, and someone just kind of drew a beard on you. That's what's happened. Yeah, I'm not the first person to think this, by the way.
Now you gave me my Halloween costume idea. Now I know
Oh,
exactly what I'm going to
totally.
dress up like this Halloween.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Let's get into some headlines here. UCLA women won their first national championship over the weekend against South Carolina. And what an exciting event for them. I would say this is a little bit of a surprise, maybe. UCLA kind of having a problem in all their other sports, but the women's way to represent.
Yeah, it was a fun game to watch. The first two quarters were exceptional. It's exactly what you wanted. A back and forth game between South Carolina and UCLA. It was early in that one. And then I don't know what UCLA said at the halftime. I don't know what their coach did to get them motivated. I don't know whether South Carolina fell asleep and just didn't take the second half seriously, but that third quarter separated the national champion to the runner-up. I mean, a 29-9 quarter, Scott, in favor of UCLA was just exceptional to watch. They came out guns firing and did not let off the gas pedal. And tip your cap to UCLA. They did a phenomenal job in coaching. They did a phenomenal job in playing. Defensively, they were strong against South Carolina. Like South Carolina said after the game, they just didn't have an answer for that second half, come out of the door moment by UCLA, and it was fun to watch yesterday. And congratulations to them. And I was shocked by this, Scott. We did the women's national champion quiz, and I've forgotten that UCLA has never won a national championship. So I would have thought they would have won one beforehand yesterday. And hey, you know what? Tip your cap to them. They have now won a national championship in both men's and women's basketball.
Well, I'll tell you what happened at halftime. Gino Ariama came in and gave him a halftime speech. That's what got him over the edge. He's like, man, don't let happen to you what happened to me, where I just lost my cool. And I was like, I melted down. Don't have that meltdown. Don't be like Gino. And that. So go in and do your best, and everything will happen just great for you. See, that's the speech right there. And he said it just like that. He said a little Muhammad Ali kind of. I am the greatest of them all.
To steal the show here, as I always usually try to do with you,
Martin.
Have you ever seen coaches fight like that at pregame or postgame after an NFL game? Like two coaches meet up at midfield and just have like a verbal argument like that. Like I've never seen that. I may have seen it at the high school level when I played, but I've never seen that at the professional level. Seriously.
The only thing I think it comes kind of close to it is because that kind of was a headline over the weekend too. Was that the only thing I think that was close to it was Jim Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz, where they kind of have, the coaches always give this exchange, and sometimes those exchanges are kind of frosty. They're kind of like, I hate your guts kind of thing. But most of these coaches, and this is something you learn in the NFL, is like, don't burn your bridges, because you may be coaching against this guy today, but tomorrow he may be your employer. So you always want to, coaches are very good at not speaking ill of each other. You have to really, really hate someone. Now college basketball in that setting, very different, women's especially, but it's, a lot of times the anger is kind of, it's a fake anger, to get you motivated kind of thing. Like, well, he didn't talk to me nice enough. He didn't shake my hand firm enough. He disrespected us. He did all, Michael Jordan's notorious about creating drama that doesn't exist to create an edge, so I understand that. And I don't know what all this was about. Maybe it was that, UConn was just like, you know what, we don't have it and I don't have it. And I'm kind of trying to find a way to create something out of nothing. But I get it. Sometimes you lose your cool. You in the heat of the moment. It's the worst absolute time to go be nice is right at the end of a game. Like, I think this whole idea of sportsmanship, it should be a cooling off period, and then go and do your, hey, congratulations kind of thing. A lot, you'll have these coaches, sometimes players, where the game kind of gets over and they've been in the locker room, they do their thing, they take a shower, put their clothes on, and then they go in the locker room and then they congratulate the team. Those always feel much more genuine to me. And television doesn't want to have any part of that. They want this. Like they go, this is what we want, that real reaction kind of thing. And so, if you're going to get the real reaction, then you're going to get people doing stupid things. Jerry Springer made a killing off of, creating drama on live television, live tape television, whatever you want to call it. But for whatever reason, we all like the train wreck. So we look for this. We want to see someone break down and cry. We want to see someone kind of, talk trash or, whatever. And then we all want to sit there and go, well, you need to act nice and respectable, and you need to be a good sportsman. It's like, you go lay your heart and soul on something, you put yourself out there, you totally, the hours and days and months and years of the toil that you do to do this. And then you go, oh, and you lose, go be nice to people. Like, it's just not an easy thing to do at all, ever. And it just makes us human. And so it's like, from the media side of it, you want to have your cake and eat it too. And it's just not a reality. So give people a break. We're so harsh. It's like, I totally get the anger. I totally get the frustration type of thing. And yeah. So, and I'm not, a lot of people are Dawn Staley fan. I'm not a fan of hers. I don't really appreciate what she did with her comments towards BYU when she canceled those games. I just thought that was a very, very disrespectful, and I did not appreciate it at all. And and I'm not a BYU alum or whatever, but I think that was very disingenuous. And so so I'm glad UCLA won. There, I said it. All right, men's national championship tonight. Your Illinois Fighting Illini were finally ousted. What does that mean for you? Is your bracket busted?
My bracket is it's now officially busted.
Join the club, dude.
I know, right? I joined the club. It was an impressive win on Saturday night. Gotta tip my cap to UConn. They shut down Illinois' offense, and Illinois missed a bunch of shots and couldn't hit free throws. You can't hit free throws.
Yep.
You're not going to win the game. And so I tip my cap off to UConn. They're in the national championship game for the third time in 4 years. You know what? I'm proud of Illinois. I haven't seen them be this good in 21 years, Scott, since 2005 when they made it to the national championship against North Carolina. So I'm proud of them. I mean, this is really fun to watch, and so hopefully next year we make it back, and we make it to the national championship this time and we win it. It was a fun game. Sad for the result, but I'm proud of the Fighting Illini.
I think a lot of America is their brackets are busted because a lot of people had Duke, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people had Duke. I had Duke, and I was gonna pick Michigan. I swear, I know I'm saying this, but I think Michigan's gonna win it. But there's something about a team that just learns how to win in tournaments. It's like that kid who knows how to test. There's an art to taking tests, and it's not necessarily that you're the smartest or you have the best knowledge or you understand it the best. You just understand how to take tests. And that's kind of a test of the basketball tournament where UConn just understands how to take the test. And as you mentioned, being in the title game 3 out of the last 4 years is remarkable. And it's so much about, culture and all those things. And they've just figured out how to take the test. So you can't necessarily bet against them because of that this is not they're a team that's been vetted, and they've accepted the challenge of some really good basketball teams, and they've come out on top. And it kind of goes to that comment I made. You make that shot to get into the Final Four, and you just hope it isn't wasted. And so far it isn't. They've gotten past Illinois, and now they're in the championship game. So we'll see where it happens. I still think Michigan's going to win. I don't know. They just seem like it's one of those things where if Michigan kind of gets on a roll, and they're a team, like when they beat you, right? And that's what they've been doing to folks. And so if they get into a game that's a little scrappy, you might see Michigan just get a little bit tense because they don't know how to handle tense, and UConn's like, man, tension's our middle name. Like, we know how to get scrap. We know how to get down and dirty in this. And so we're totally comfortable fighting and scrapping and figuring it out. Now, it's either going to be, if it's a really close game, UConn's going to win. If Michigan just plays free and fluid and all of these things, then it's lights out. Speaking of Michigan, their coach May, of course, signed a long-term extension. He was in discussion about the UNC coach being vacancy being opened up, and it feels like, and even Arizona's coach also looked like he might be the next person in line for the Michigan job. And it almost feels like to me that coaches are kind of saying, and maybe it has to do with NIL, it has to do with a lot of things, but a lot of these coaches are kind of staying pat. And you have to wonder if it's like, it's better for me to build a culture. It's better for me. And maybe they go, look, I got an unbelievable alumni support. We have funding here. It's not about the prestige of these schools anymore. It's about who can fund a program and where can I build the best culture. And so the best jobs aren't necessarily those traditional jobs of, the UNCs and some of these, ACC schools that have been those traditional powers. And I thought that was just kind of an interesting side note of kind of some of the stuff that's going on with men and women's basketball.
Yeah, it's I read that same story. Tommy Lloyd and Dusty May both were Michigan and Arizona's head coaches up for the UNC job. There's reports of Billy Donovan, who's the Chicago Bulls head coach, might be interested in the UNC job as well. I agree with you. I think it either has to do with NIL or it just has to do with the fact that, like you said, the top two jobs in college basketball is Duke and North Carolina. And right now, Duke's not going to fire their head coach. And North Carolina is open for the first time in a very long time. And none of the top coaches are jumping from their schools to go join North Carolina, and the money that they have behind the program, obviously all the Jordan money that's poured into the program. Who knows what's really going on? Who knows? I at this point, I would expect a really shocking hire. I don't know what top level coach will leave their program to go to North Carolina, but I don't expect North Carolina just to hire nobody. But I could be wrong. We'll see. Times are changing, Scott. People aren't just going to drop what they're doing to go get the best job. They're going to want to stay pat and make their job the best job and make someone else chase them. And so I think right now that's the reality of college basketball, especially in coaching.
Yeah. So it's certainly changing, and maybe it's, over time we get it stabilizes itself and we go, okay, this is kind of, you kind of figure out what normal is, the new normal, and then everyone kind of operates inside of that. But there's a lot of moving parts right now, a lot of decisions being made or not being made based on trying to figure out the landscape. Speaking of the landscape, this is a shocking story to me. Now, in a lot of circles, this isn't a big deal in sports. At the University of Utah, the women's gymnastics program has been a juggernaut. It's been a program, I'm telling you, that is just been a pillar of excellence for 49 years straight. 49 straight years. the University of Utah women's gymnastics program has gone to the NCAA finals, and that was broken this weekend. And they had a really good team this year. It wasn't like they were bad, but they just didn't find a way to get back to the national championship. And I remember reading an article briefly about how, okay, they're going to the region finals or whatever, and it's the and they're looking to get back to the national championship event, and so I just looked at it and go, yeah, that'll happen, and it didn't. And it's just like, wow, that's about as a shocking story, because I mean, you talk about a level of consistency to do that year in and year out for 40. I mean, we're talking 49 straight years. That's almost twice your age, Martin.
It is twice my age, and if I do the math right, they were 9 years old when you were 9 years old when they went to their first Final Four.
Very good on the math.
I try my best. Yeah, it's a shocking thing that happened. Considering we both worked at ESPN Salt Lake, I have produced Red Rock events, and have listened to them in the past. And yeah, it's one of those times where you just got to go back to the drawing board, regroup, refocus, and get back at it next season and start a new streak, and make sure that they make it 50 years in a row after next season.
Well, my heart goes out to the Red Rocks. They have been a pillar of excellence, and sometimes you have to lose to know how to win. Heard that in a song once. You know what song that is?
I do not. You got me there.
Dream On.
Oh, that was too simple. I should have known that.
Dream On. Yeah. All right. This was an interesting comment from LeBron James about Cooper Flag. So he initially he was critical of Jason Kidd for his decision to start Cooper Flag at the point guard, right? And I remember thinking, it's like, Cooper Flag is the point guard for the Dallas Mavericks. It's like, what the freak? And LeBron goes, man, that's a lot of that's a lot of pressure to put on a young kid. And Cooper Flag is like is a teenager, like he's still a young dude, and he's the guy bringing up the ball on the court, and the offense clearly is running through Cooper Flag. And then of course the actual I think Cooper had 45 points when the Mavericks beat the Lakers last night. But LeBron was talking about, you know what, this was the right move, and he said the same thing happened to me my rookie year, and he goes, there's just no better way to learn than to just kind of put the ball in your hands, and you're just like up against it, and you got to figure it out, and you're going to make mistakes, and it's going to be painful, and you're going to make mistakes, but man, you're going to grow like exponentially, where you just really start to understand, and you're seeing in Cooper kind of this evolution and this growth, and he's certainly finding his way and his place in the NBA. And but I thought it was an interesting comment from LeBron, in the sense that he had significant relatability to it, and initially just said it was a bad thing. And so it kind of makes me wonder about, what is the best way to develop a player? Because Fernando Mendoza, they're saying, dude, you're sitting. It's like you're coming in here and you're sitting, and you look at Michael Penix Jr. and he kind of sat, and you maybe JJ McCarthy and he kind of sat, and so some people are like, oh, it's better if they sit, and then you go, well, Bo Nix didn't sit, and Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud, some of these young quarterbacks they put in the NFL, they certainly didn't sit. And it feels like, because I'm kind of more of I think they should sit, and then maybe it's like, maybe they shouldn't. And again, maybe it's just the circumstances and they're in. Maybe basketball is different than football, but putting it on a young player early on in their career might be the best thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, to split that a little bit, it depends on the player. I think a little bit too. I think Cooper Flag and LeBron James, right out of high school, were those guys that were definitely ready for the league. And Cooper has shown it this season: 50-point game, 40-point game, 30-point game. You're absolutely right about like people like Mendoza. They're bringing in a veteran quarterback to protect him. Aaron Rodgers is the most famous story, right? He sat behind Brett Favre for 3 seasons before he ever got his real first chance to start in the NFL. I think him starting at point guard is a big step, but I think also, what separates Cooper Flag from other rookies that are thrown into that situation is Dallas just doesn't have a strong veteran point guard room. Obviously, they have Kyrie Irving, but they need another ball handler and another scorer, and Cooper is the guy that they picked to do that. And so he's kind of have to force himself into learning the game very fast. And I think he's adopted it really well. I think he's grown from it. And I agree with LeBron James' comments that it's a little bit too much for the kid. But like I just said, I think he has proven that he can handle the pressure. And I think he's going to be a phenomenal player down the road. I just I can see all the awards and accomplishments that he will succeed at. And yeah, I think this is both a legitimate comment by LeBron James, and also I think Cooper Flag has shown that he's legitimately the guy.
I still can't figure out how Duke did not win a national championship with Cooper Flag and Kneipel. Kneipel.
Yeah, Kneipel. Yep.
And the dude like made more threes than anyone ever.
That's true.
It's just in a season. It's like, what the freak? How?
Imagine if they came back for one more year and paired up with Cam Boozer. Like, there would have been no way to stop that.
I know. It's like it just man. And then you have VJ Edgecombe and Ace Bailey at Rutgers, and what the freak, man?
Yeah,
I don't get
that would have been
basketball.
fun.
I don't get basketball. All right. Hey, when we come back, we're going to talk a little religion. Yeah. And football is the national religion, and it's not even about football. You don't want to miss this when the Down and Dirty returns. So stay tuned. We'll be back.
Circulon C1 Series Clad with Scratch Defense Non-Stick. The luxury and confidence of premium clad stainless steel meets Scratch Defense Extreme Non-Stick that won't scratch, ever. With an ultra-thick aluminum core for high-performance heating. Maximize cooking, minimize cleaning. Discover the unmatched durability and elegance of clad stainless steel. Scratch-free, worry-free, forever.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It's the Down and Dirty. Scott Mitchell. So glad you could join the show. Having fun on a Monday, talking about the weekend that was. And it will never be the same ever again because they're always different. And that's what's cool, right? Because it's not just the same thing. Oh, I came across this story, and it's not. I don't want to say it's dated. The topic is certainly not dated. It happened just a little while ago. Of course, the women's national championship happened. UCLA, first time for their women to win a national championship. Congratulations to them. And but there was another tournament, the women's NIT, and of course Brigham Young University almost won that. But they made some headlines when they didn't practice on Sunday, and one of their star players, a very up and coming star for BYU, actually said, "Look, um, we don't practice on Sunday because you know we just don't." So there you have it, and um, we don't because it's for religious reasons. So Delaney Gibb, of course, that's a picture of her on our screen. She's a talented freshman, averaged 18.5 points a game, but they said it's just we choose not to do it. And of course, the next day they played Kansas and won by 3 points. They ultimately lost, I believe, the next game, which was I think the championship game. Regardless, it's kind of it's an interesting topic, and I think so many people are because we're just like, we're all in on our sports. We're like, no matter what, to me, Sunday's just another day. It's not, and there are people of religious conviction who are saying, for me, no, I'm not gonna play on Sunday. And so they make that choice. And of course, you remember the Chariots of Fire, I believe it was 36 Olympics, and or somewhere around there, and how they chose the team from England, one of their greatest runners, Rydell, can't remember, Lydell. Anyways, one of my favorite movies of all time. He chose not to run on Sunday. They kind of switched things up, and then everyone won. But it was about honoring your tradition and honoring your faith and standing up for something. And I think it's a remarkable thing. Now, I've actually been questioned by this because I'm of the same faith. So I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So, this whole thing about Sunday is a day of worship. And we believe that's the day that you do that. And so um, when I was playing professional football, and this player who had gone to BYU is an offensive lineman, Eli Herring. Eli and I actually played high school football together. He was a junior, I was a senior. He was one of our tackles on our football team, and he went to BYU, and then he was about to get drafted, which is happening soon. And he said, "Don't draft me because I will not play professional football because I will have to play on Sundays." And so he chose not to go into the NFL and play for that very reason. And immediately I was inundated with a lot of questions about, well, what makes you different? How come you're going and you're participating, and the games are on Sunday, and how do you square that? Are you not faithful? Are you not do you not follow your religion? Do you do any of these things? So for me, and it certainly was not a question of rationalize things, because I actually was receiving counsel to go and do what I did, and that I could have a lot of influence for good in being recognized in a high profile position, and that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. And quite frankly, in our religion, working on Sunday is not prohibited. And so that's, there are doctors, there's all kinds of people who actually, numerous professions where people have to work on Sundays. And unfortunately, that's, I was in the entertainment business, and I was in a business that part of what we did was actually Sunday observance. And so, or we performed on Sunday. Now, what I did, and to me, I still made it a very meaningful day. And so I always said, here's the deal. Like, I will always be in church if it's not the season or if I don't have a game on a Sunday. And I lived up to that commitment, and I did it, and I still made it a special day. I still could work, and I still could honor my religion at the same time, and it worked out totally fine for me, and it was great. But there are people who, whether it's in college and there's a women's basketball team, or whether it's running in the Olympics, you think of the Olympics, what opportunity you get to go there, and certainly a bold statement. And then I think of Hakeem Olajuwon, who would fast during his NBA, and it would make him extremely weak, in his order of his fast for his religion. But I don't know. I've just always appreciated people who just say, "Hey, look, I am going to be true to my religion, and regardless of the sport that I'm in or where I am in the circumstances, I don't have to compromise my beliefs or the way I live my life just because I play a sport." And I felt the same way. I really didn't feel like I compromised myself or my values as a professional athlete. And it was, it was challenging at time because I don't drink. And pretty much everyone thought I was extremely weird because I didn't drink. And like they're all like, "Oh, we're gonna get you drunk. We're gonna do all these things." But then after a while, like they thought that was really cool, because I really didn't, and they respected that, and they appreciated it. In fact, I became the designated driver for a long. They were like, "Wait a minute, this isn't a bad thing for us." So it turned out, in a positive way. But I love the story of people that don't compromise their conviction because of their circumstances, whether it's in sports or life. And so I just really appreciated this story, and I appreciated the meaning behind it. And we've seen that so many times in sports. So good for the folks there at BYU, and good for people all around the world to do this. So I encourage you to stand for something. I don't care what it is, but just stand. All right. We're going to take another break. We come back. Oh boy. What in the world do we have on the show? Let me look here. Oh yeah. Baseball, the folks in Beantown not happy. Team off to a very slow start. What does that mean? Tell me what it means. I'll tell you what it means when we return. How brutal it is to start a season slow, and can you ever recover? When the Down and Dirty returns.
You probably get unwanted emails almost every single day.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
Have you ever wondered why so many pet parents are choosing to have virtual vet appointments? Online veterinary care is making it easier than ever to get expert advice for your pet. Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns and expand access to pet care. Book your first appointment today.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back to the show. On and on it goes, and where it stops, nobody knows. So that's the fun part. We just kind of go with the wind and let the wind ride us and take us where we want to be. Oh boy, the Boston Red Sox, they're not where they want to be. They've ridden the wind, and it's running right smack into the green monster. They have started the season 3-7, and it's unacceptable. Roman Anthony has just said, this is not acceptable, folks. We need to do better, be better. Our fans deserve more. There are people out there chanting, sell the team, get rid of them. All that fun stuff. It's interesting to me how baseball, if you know baseball players are going, man, this is a slow start. This is not good. Things are bad. And because baseball has 162 games, so yeah, look, we lose 7 games for, we're fine. Which I would be in the loony bin because I just can't lose a game. Like I just hate to lose no matter what. So I don't have the temperament for baseball because you win some, you lose some. Hey, you know what? We lose this game. Let's play a doubleheader and see if we can lose another one in the same day. Let's really make ourselves gluttons for punishment. Okay. So, and of course, it's just no fun. And it got me thinking about how brutally awful it is to start off a season sluggish and slow. And nobody wants to do that. And anyone. Now, the NFL is different. It's kind of been tempered slightly with the addition of a game. Like that 17th game actually gives you a bigger shot or a better chance of recovering from an early season debacle. And what's so hard about it is, like, you just never know how your team is going to be every year. Like, some teams, they go and they lose the Super Bowl and they just have a hangover like nobody's business. And some teams go and they lose maybe the championship game and they come back and win the Super Bowl. And so you just don't know what's going to happen. Or you have a good year, you make the playoffs the next year. It's just like everything goes wrong. Now there's every year is unique and it's always different. Your schedule's different. If you're a good team, you're going to be playing better teams. But some years, the better teams from a year ago aren't necessarily the good teams this year. Because you just don't, but it's based off of what happened last year. But traditionally and typically, if you're a good team, you're going to get the toughest schedule. And then your team wins a Super Bowl and you got everybody's best shot. Like we want to make a statement. These guys are world champs, we beat because I know I've beaten world champs the year after they won. And it meant a little bit more than it did the year before. I just wanted to be the team that everyone tried to beat, and I don't know that was necessarily the case, but it's pointless at this point. But the challenge is of winning and figuring out how to dig yourself out of a hole. And there's a right way, I believe, and there's a wrong way to do it. And the right way to do it is you just have to put moments together. Like if you look at it from the big picture and you go, I'm in a 20-foot hole here and I'm going to make one big giant leap and get out of this hole. It's like, it ain't happening. And so then you become even more overwhelmed and it becomes consuming, and then you're just toast. And there's nothing worse than being toast in a season with 2 months left to go. Like it's just like, I don't know how these teams that I mean, I've been in, unfortunately, I want to say one time, I think in my career where it was just like, there's no shot. And when there's always a shot, it's just a different excitement, motivation. Joe Johnson, the offensive lineman for the Cleveland Browns, my hat goes off to that dude. And he knew his whole entire career. They were out of it for his whole career. Like it's just not even a year. So that just really, that's no fun. That really stinks. It really, really stinks. So I hate being in that situation. So how do you get out of the hole? How do you get out of the hole? And it's literally like, it's the next play. Like all you have right now is the next play, and just make the next play the best play, and then go through the next, and then just get through this drive, score a touchdown, stop them on defense, and then go to the next quarter, and the next, you just so have to live in the moment, and you just have to not get caught up in the bigness of where you are. Now in Detroit when this happened, we had the luxury of Thanksgiving, and we really learned how to turn Thanksgiving to our advantage in that we said we have 3 games in a span of 10 days. And we win all 3 of those games, and that jumps us and it wasn't the psychological bump from that was huge. Not only was it huge, but then we had a break right at the end of the season. So getting to a point where, you just live for these next plays, these next moments until you get where your head is above water, and then you can kind of go, okay, I see light at the end of the tunnel, and the light at the end of the tunnel now becomes like your goal. So how do we get to the light at the end of the tunnel, and having that vision for that completion? But it's brutally hard, and it's brutally hard for to do this. It's not impossible. It's been done. It's mind blowing, the statistical improbability. And I'm just talking about the NFL right now. It'd be fascinating to look at baseball and just go, hey, what's the likelihood of making the playoffs based on your start? You start, I don't know what I'm actually going to look that up at some point and just see where, where it stands for basketball and baseball and some of these NHL hockey. Because I know in the NFL, if you start 0-3, it's like an 8%. I don't even think it's 8% or less chance of actually making the playoffs. For a long time, it was on. I think there were two or three teams who done it, and the Detroit Lions were one of those when I was there. And it was because of this mindset. We really, very easily, and that's the crazy part. Our first game of the year that year when we started 0-3, Jason Hansen missed 3 field goals against Minnesota that were like within 30 yards. I mean, they were short field goals, and we lost 17-14. We're playing Pittsburgh game 2, and we go take the lead, and they're down to their 3rd string quarterback, and they march down and kick a field goal late and beat us. And then we play the Arizona Cardinals at home, and Barry Sanders fumbles 2 times inside the 20 going into score, and Barry never fumbled. And then Dave Craig throws a 4th and 19 yard goal line throw to beat us. They're at the 19-yard line, and they end up beating us in that game. So we start off 0-3. Could have easily been 3-0, and now we got to face the we got to face the defending world champion San Francisco 49ers on Monday night, who are 3-0, and it was looking ugly. And we to me, one of the most proud moments of my career was fighting through 0-3 and what we did, and it was truly remarkable. So it sucks, and it is unacceptable, but it's not the end of the world. But you can see the end of the world from where it is. All right, this is all the world that I can see today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great Monday. We'll be back. We might not be back tomorrow, but we'll be back the rest of this week for sure. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks, Martin, Zach, for all you do. This is the Down and Dirty Scott Mitchell. Till then, we'll see you then.